Well, welcome to our studio today. I am working on a new painting. This is a commission. It's a portrait of a dog that died a few months ago. And my client is doing this as a surprise for her husband because he just had this dog for many, many years. And so this is going to be a surprise gift for him. And the dog's name is HOBO. Just a really pretty guy. Just a mix of all kinds of good things. Heinz 57. But we decided, she said that he loves, well, he went to Texas Tech, and so we're putting the masked rider out there. This statue is on the campus. Actually, at the actual campus, there's buildings all behind him. But in order for the highlight to be on HOBO and not have all the distraction of the buildings, we talked about it, and I said, let's put trees back there. That just gives a nice, soft background that highlights not only the sculpture, but then HOBO, and we're not distracted with all those buildings. The trees, if you'll notice, I've made cooler as they go into the distance and then warmer as they come forward. So that helps to give the feeling of depth in the painting. These are going to be a line of mountain laurel trees. And they are so beautiful here in Texas when they bloom. They have the most beautiful purple blossoms. They almost look like a wisteria. In fact, a lot of people, wonder if they're a wisteria, but they're not. They're a Texas Mountain Laurel. And these are, I'm using a mixture of, for the blossoms, I'm using a mixture of dioxazine purple. It's a hard one to say, it's a hard one to spell. If you want to buy some of this, it makes a really great deep lavender. Now I have mixed some ultramarine blue into it for some of the darker colors, but the spelling is Dioxazine, purple. And again, this is a color I use if I'm painting lavender fields, if I'm painting wisteria, I use this color. And so some of the blossoms back here I'm using various mixtures. And again, I have mixtures of the dioxazine purple plus ultramarine blue, and then I also have mixtures of just the pure dioxazine purple. And this gives me a variation in the blooms, which naturally they have. And as I go back, I use more of my blues toward the background, and then I'll use the pure dioxazine purple and white toward the foreground because it's warmer. And that's also, so I'm going back. These get a little bit lighter. And I just bring some of that color back here. This is painted on a gallery wrap canvas, and the image will go around the edges of the canvas. But right now I'm not going to worry about that. I just want to get my mountain laurels blocked in, and then I'll come back and do the ones on the edges. Got a little too purpley. Again, these and they're just not real distinct back here. I want this background just to be in the background. Just give a color behind the sculpture. When these trees are in full bloom, oh, their fragrance is wonderful. They actually kind of smell like grape juice. I mean, it's hard to describe their fragrance, but oh my goodness, they are wonderful. It's just, I can remember when I first came to Texas in 1979, that first spring, oh my word. Some of the Texas natives, they said, oh, you've got to come out, and there was, where there now is the campus at UTSA, University of Texas at San Antonio, there was a grove of these mountain laurel trees, and we went out there and just sat under them. Oh my goodness gracious, it was just amazing. So we're going to have these come behind the dark of HOBO's ears, and that will help accentuate him. I'm real careful not to paint over my sketch. And if I do, what I can do is come back with a clean brush. I kind of clean down in my thinner and then wipe it with tissue. Then I can come, my sketch is dry. It was made with mud plus liquid, and the mud is ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. But I can just come back with that clean brush and lift that paint off of my sketch. So as I come here, then I'm starting to use more of the dioxazine purple plus white. And you can see it's a warmer color. Now the foliage, I'm using a mixture of ultramarine blue plus a little bit of cadmium yellow medium. This makes a darker, richer, warmer blue than what I've got in the background. The trees in the background are various combinations of phthalo blue plus cadmium orange plus white. And you can get a full range of color with that. If you add more phthalo blue, it gets cooler, it's bluer. If you add more of the cadmium orange, it makes a warmer mix. Again, right now I just want to get my canvas covered. Use a little smaller brush. These are bright brushes. They're square brush, and I prefer to use those. They're really nice. I can cover a big broad area with the flat side, or I can use the corner to make smaller strokes. Right now I'm just working. I'll come back, and I'm not going to add a whole lot of detail into these, but I do want some. But we'll do that later. Right now my main goal at this point is to get the canvas covered. And for some, this dark then is a mixture of my phthalo blue plus a little bit of liquid. Just gives me a nice cool dark for in the background. These are a little taller here, and they're going to have trunks. And I'm just using a mixture of my mud plus liquid, and I pull it into that wet paint behind. So the trunks, I don't want them to be just super dark, but I just want to get the feeling of these willowy trunks of the mountain laurel trees. Yeah, and this is all in the background, so I don't want it just super detailed, but I do want some detail. I got that a little bit big, so I can just take some of my tree color there in the background. I save all of my paint, and I can just come back over that and make a few little sky holes in those leaves there. Again, the light is coming in from the right, so the tops of these mountain laurels are going to be getting hit by the light. So I just make a little lighter mixture here. And like I say, I'll come back and refine these, but this is, right now my goal here is to get these blocked in. Get the canvas covered. My collector loves the combination of the mountain laurels and knockout roses that you see in the springtime all around Texas. That purple and red is just a really pretty combination. So right in front of these, I'll have knockout roses underneath these. Now I'm going to bring a little light back here because his ear is that black of his ear. So I'm going to have the light hitting these so that you'll see his ear in there. And this light green also, this kerchief is going to be red with the Texas Tech logo on it. So that red will pop against that green back there. I'll also have a few little mountain laurel blossoms in there, dipping down. I'm going to make me also a mixture of my phthalo blue plus white. This just gives me a nice kind of just a cool accent in the shadows. It's dark, but it just gives me, again, it makes a cool blue. It just falls back into those shadows. And they're darker underneath, and then where the light's hitting them on the top, they're a little bit lighter. But they also, there's some darks in there too. Right now I'm just kind of following working around the purples that I have. It's a little darker here because it's on the back side of that tree, and we've got the light behind it. We've got dark here. Now I'm going to let the light of these mountain laurel blossoms dip down here behind HOBO's ear, so that they'll accent his ear. You can use your background colors to accent. And I'll bring a little bit of a dark right in here because he's got his white on his muzzle. And I can always come back and refine this, make changes, whatever. He's a happy boy. She said that he would sit down, he panted, but when he was panting, he'd look like he was smiling. Big wide mouth. Pretty boy. Pretty boy. Bring a little dark back in here. Now these trees are all, this line of trees all is going into the distance, so we'll bring a little more coolness into that foliage. I'm just mixing some of my kind of gray greens from the trees in the background into my mixes on the leaves for the mountain laurels. Now I'm going to bring some dark back in here. I want the statue to be seen, but not just real prominent, so I'm bringing some dark in behind it. I don't want it to pop out. I want it to fall back into the distance. And the light will be hitting him. The light again is coming in from the right. Just want that to go back. We want him to be back there, but he's not. The star of our painting is HOBO, so this is all just back into the background. Just about got it here. Again, you can see how with this this bright brush, I can turn it sideways and get into these tight areas. Now that little light right there is actually a highlight on his hawk, so I'm not going to cover that. So we've got our mountain laurels blocked in. I thank you so much for watching my YouTube videos. Please also visit my blog. I have the link in the description below, and the address is also on the final frame of my video. And do subscribe to my channel. You have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you again for visiting the studio.